Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Bitch and Brainstorm podcast. I'm your host, Elaine the Brain Terso, and I'm here with my new friend, Tiphany, with a
Woo!
PH, by the way, Tiphany with a PH. And Tiphany is one of our panelists on the Elevate Your Online Presence Business Summit. I know that is a mouthful, on April 19th and the 20th. And Tiphany is going to be part of our branding panel on April 20th at 10:15 a.m. Pacific time. Trust me, you do not want to miss this panel. And I know I say it every single time because it's true. You don't want to miss any of the panels. They are going to be fire. And the people that we have speaking all kind of bring their own little expertise to each of them. But first, before we get into all the juicy content, the stuff that we're going to talk about, Tiphany, can you take a moment and just tell everybody who you are?
Sure. I'm Tiphany Kane. Some people call me the Heck Yes Coach.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. Because in every awful no life throws your way, there's a heck yes somewhere. And so I love helping people find that heck yes. Um, and I help people get their voices out, raise the volume of their voices. I love podcasting. I think it is an amazing medium. So I help people with podcasting. My specialty is course creation, specifically video course creation. And I get to work with some pretty big brands, getting them their video courses made, and work with coaches who are ready for that next level up to get those video courses going and get themselves out there in a really professional way. So that's what I do in a nutshell. I used to be a teacher, a classroom teacher, and
Oh,
so it's really fun switching it up and working with adults.
I love that. That's so fun. So one of the things that I heard you say is video course creation and using that to kind of elevate your online presence, right?
Yeah.
Hello, like what a great fit, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about why is video so important for branding? Like, why does somebody need to get in front of the camera?
It's people like seeing the face with all of the AI like insurgents out there, which I do. I am not a hater. There's so much AI that I love that makes my life easier. But we as people need to know that we're working with people, right?
Yes.
So when you can get a presence out there, whether it's on social media, on YouTube, a video course, like whatever it is for people to actually see you, and you don't have to be perfect. I mean, you have the perfect red lip on. I don't. Um, you just get to show up as you and, as professional as you want to show up. Everybody has a different way of showing up professionally. And if you do that, then people get to connect with who you are and they don't expect they don't expect perfection. They expect human. They want human.
Yes.
So
I love that so much. I used to always say, like, be a person and not a sales pitch. Be a person, not a logo. Like, bring the human element into your business because people want, like, one of the things that people always tell me why they choose me to help them with their business is because they're not calling a 1-800 number to get tech support. They're calling me directly. And that is something that, like, oh, you mean I don't have to call a 1-800 number and get on and be placed on hold and all this other kind of stuff? I'm like, no. So it's the human element, the human component that will set you apart from everybody else. Right? No one else is like you. And that isn't that amazing, right? No one else is like you.
and the other thing is we may not be huge names, big celebrities with, tens and
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of followers. But we don't need that because the
Right.
people that need us need somebody who's closer to the journey
Yeah.
than somebody who's way down the road. I always like, and I used to love to run marathons. So there are those marathoners that could finish marathon in 2 hours and 30 minutes. And they were inspiring and they were exciting, but there is no bone or muscle in this body that's going to finish a marathon in 2 hours, 30 minutes. Right.
Girl,
So
right?
I had a pacer that I would keep myself at that was my nice, comfortable 11 to 12-minute mile. And I mean, comfortable is in air quotes when you're marathoning, but you know what I mean. So I had my pacer, and that's what I would keep my eye on, is that pacer, and
Mhm.
go, okay, I know I want to do it in this amount of time. This person is an expert. This person knows how to get this marathon done in this time. I'm hanging out with her because she's awesome. And that's what our people need, right?
Yeah.
We are not 26 miles down the road from them.
Mhm.
We are 100 feet, 500 feet,
Mhm.
a football field in front of them, but they can see us,
Yeah.
right? And we understand their journey. And that's what I always tell people, like, you don't have to be the big giant name. You need to just be you and understand people's journey and help them along.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about creating a video course. So what are some of the things that someone might need? How do they get started on creating a video course for their business?
Well, before a video camera ever turns on, you need a nice plan, right?
Yes,
That's
girl.
that's probably the hardest part, is
Yeah.
how do you create a course that actually meets adult learning pedagogy, right? Like, how do adults learn? How are they engaged? And what can we do to keep them engaged and keep that learning going? We have very short attention spans now. And so
Mhm.
your video course is best if it's in shorter chunks, if it's engaging, if there's lots of think time, write time, prompt time, some sort of engagement type of aspect to it, whether you have a Facebook group that goes with it, or you've got a few live meetups that go with it, or however, if it's a hybrid or however you're going to work it, somehow adults need to engage, right? And they need smaller chunks, and it needs to make sense, and you need to take the amount of information you want to give them and probably cut it in half,
Mhm.
because it's a lot for people to learn. What seems easy to you is very hard for somebody else. I always like to use the example of somebody that's good at organizing. I am not good at organizing. And for somebody like that lives their life in an organized way, I need baby steps. Like,
Mm.
like, what do you do with the mail when you come in the house? How do you make it not be a big giant pile? Because mine's always a pile, right? And somebody else is like, that's like a no-brainer. But I need baby steps for that, right?
Yeah.
So think of what you're really good at and then dial it back a lot, baby step it, not dumb it down,
Mhm.
but you're making it in a way that people can work with it. So that's number one. And then
Yeah.
number two, find your next best step for making the video course. If you are brand new, then your video course may be hopping on Zoom with a couple of people and recording there. If you're several steps down the road, then it may be hiring somebody like me that can bring in some nice cameras and consult with you on your course and, get you showing up really professionally. But there's so many steps in between that, right?
Yeah.
And you just get to show up in your next best step.
Mhm. Yes, I love that. That was something that I found to be really helpful when I was kind of creating my first course too. One of the things that I realized was that I don't have to be the expert in anything. I just have to know more than the average Joe, right? That I can go, "Oh, I've learned about this." And actually the best way for me to learn is to teach. That's
Uh,
how I learn, right? Is by teaching. If you're like, Elaine, you need to do, okay, I need to go teach it then, because that's how I learn. I know that
mhm.
sounds crazy, but that's literally how my brain works is
It's
I
science.
retain, yeah. So you
How
got to
science
figure out
is
what
like
works for
our
you.
brains. Yep,
Mhm.
our brains remember what we teach.
Yep, exactly. And so if you want me to retain it, I got to teach it.
Mhm. Mhm. That's the best. I mean, anybody who wants to dip their toes into course creation, make
Mhm.
a post on Facebook that says something along the lines of, "Oh my God, I just found out how to open a jar without breaking a nail." And you'll have 10 people to go, "Oh, how do you do it? Because I break a nail. Like I have the hardest time with opening a jar." And then you teach them you do a little quick thing. Here's my quick tip for how to open a jar without breaking a nail. And then they're really happy. Like, that's a little mini course. Like, anytime
Yeah.
you go in there and you say, "Oh my God, I learned something. I was today years old when I learned this." And everybody's like, "Wait, what?"
Mhm. Oh
And
my God, those videos on TikTok get me every time. They're like, I was today years old when I learned that you could do this. And I'm like, what?
yeah, me too. Me too.
Like, I didn't know either. Like, how is this a thing? Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think one of them was like for a drill or a hammer or something, like there's a way that you can put the nail in without actually using your finger. And they're like, somebody's like, what? Get out of here. Let me go try it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. That's how I feel about a lot of stuff too. Like you just don't, we all learn differently. We all have different life experiences and we can all learn from each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of sell it before it's ready. Like before I
Mm.
go create all of my course content, I told you only have to be a week ahead, right? Is that how you operate as well?
Absolutely. And here's why I love that so much.
Mhm.
It's not cheating. It's you're able to respond to your people because
Yeah.
you may have this idea of, okay, here's my course and it's 12 weeks of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then you get in and you do day one and you get through a quarter of the information because there's so many questions. You're like, oh, okay.
Right.
They are not ready for this, or
Mhm.
they're taking this in a totally different direction. They're asking different things of me than I thought they would ask. So I think that is absolutely brilliant because then you're super responsive to the
Mhm.
people in your course. And like you said, stay a week or two ahead. That's all you
Yep.
need to do.
Yep.
And stay super responsive, like really listen to what they're asking for and listen when they're asking their questions, what's really underneath those questions. Because a lot of times
Yes.
people don't ask what they're really
Yeah.
struggling with.
Mhm.
Being super present
Mhm.
when you're hearing people ask or not ask. Like if you're hearing crickets, oh, that's great feedback too.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I'm 127% with you on um, creating it as you go with your people.
Mhm. Yeah. You don't have to do it all and then go sell it because you can learn from my mistakes. So I did that way long time ago, my very first like major huge course. I created all the content. I created this amazing workbook. I interviewed 33 experts. Like I did all the things,
Crickets.
not go so well. And it was one, I didn't do market research, right? Number one, I did not do market research. And I think that I made a lot of assumptions about what people wanted. And so, had I done the market research, I would have figured out what somebody actually needed and I could have custom tailored it to what people actually wanted, not what I think they thought, not what I thought they think they needed, right? Right. So there's a lot to be that we can learn and should learn before we dive into stuff like this is what do people actually want?
Yep.
How can you actually help them? And is that in alignment with your values? Is that alignment with your goals? Just because Sally did it doesn't mean you have to do it. Is that you have two different businesses, right? You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You can walk your own path. You can be a disruptor. You can do the things that maybe you never thought you would do. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all has to do with what's in the best interest of your values, as well as what's going to be the best service to your clients and kind of figuring out where do they meet in the middle, right? And using that to elevate your brand.
Mm, that's a great formula. I love that. And I like that you put your values
Mhm.
and then your customer, because it has to be value centered, value focused,
Yes.
and something you can put your heart and soul into. Because we all know entrepreneurship is blood, sweat, tears, heart, and soul. And
Yep.
if you cannot get behind it, just don't do it. Also,
Right.
do not create an evergreen if you've never taught it live. Teach it live at least, I don't know, at least 3 times before
Mhm.
you evergreen it, because you will refine it every single time. And then you'll learn what do people actually need if it's going to be evergreen. And if people don't know what evergreen means, evergreen is that like perpetual living course that people can take kind of whenever they want. Doesn't really require you. It's a beautiful model, but
Mhm.
only if it's something people will buy because you've tested it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tiphany, it has been absolutely wonderful getting to spend some time with you and meeting you and having this lovely conversation. I cannot wait for our summit. And thank you so much for, coming to be a part of it and sharing some nuggets before we get started. So thank you so
I'm
much.
so excited. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys later.